The morning was quiet and peaceful in Seoul. People walked to their offices. Children laughed on their way to school. Old men sat in parks and read newspapers. Nobody looked up at the sky. Nobody knew that in less than 1 hour, their world would change forever. Admiral Tae-ho Park was sitting in his office at the Global Defense Command. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He was 62 years old and had spent his whole life in the military. On his desk was a photograph of his wife and young daughter. They had died 20 years ago when aliens first came to Earth. That war was small, just one ship and a few hundred deaths. But it taught humanity an important lesson. The universe was full of danger, and Earth was not ready. Tae-ho had promised himself that day that he would make Earth ready. He had worked in secret for 20 years, building ships and weapons that nobody knew about. He hoped he would never need to use them. The alarm went off at exactly 9:47 in the morning. Red lights flashed everywhere. Tae-ho looked at his computer screen and felt his blood turn cold. 3,000 alien warships had appeared near Earth. They were coming fast. His assistant ran into the room. Her face was white with fear. "Admiral, they will be here in 6 hours." Tae-ho stood up slowly. His heart was beating fast, but his face stayed calm. "Contact every world leader. Tell them Protocol Omega is active. This is not a test." All over Earth, a message appeared on every television, every phone, every computer. The voice was cold and strange. It spoke in every language at the same time. "People of Earth, we are the Vorn Collective. We have conquered 200 star systems. We have taken 63 species. You have one choice: surrender or die. You have 6 hours." People started to panic. They ran through the streets screaming. Cars crashed into each other. Some people cried. Some people prayed. Some people just held their families and waited for the end. But in secret places around the world, something else was happening. Something the aliens did not expect. Captain Yuna Kim was floating in a hidden space station behind the moon. She was 34 years old, with short black hair and steady hands. She was one of the best pilots in the world. Her team was called Black Huron, and they had trained for years for this moment. Yuna read the message from Admiral Tae-ho on her screen. "Black Huron Squadron, prepare for battle. This is real." She looked at her 12 pilots. They were young and brave and ready to die for Earth. None of them looked scared. "You heard the Admiral," Yuna said. "Get to your ships. Today we fight." Deep under the city of Bizan, soldiers pulled Dr. Hyan Beek out of his laboratory. He was a thin man with messy hair and thick glasses. He had spent 15 years building a secret weapon that everyone said was impossible. "Dr. Beek," the soldier said, "we need your Cascade warheads." "Are they ready?" Hyan's hands were shaking. "They are not finished. I need more time to test them." "There is no more time. The aliens are coming." Hyan thought about his mother. He thought about his sisters. He thought about everyone he loved on this planet. If his weapons could save them, he had to try. "I will make them work," he said. The Vorn fleet arrived exactly when they said they would. 3,000 ships filled the sky like a dark cloud. Each ship was huge and covered with weapons. They looked like giant metal insects. People everywhere looked up in terror. Then the attack began. Sydney was the first city to burn. A beam of purple light came down from the sky and turned everything to fire. 1 million people died in seconds. Then Mumbai burned. Then Lagos. Then Rio. The aliens were not trying to take over. They were sending a message. "Surrender, or we will kill everyone." Admiral Tae-ho watched the destruction on his screens. His hands were shaking, but his voice was strong when he spoke to the world leaders. They think we are weak, he said. They think we will give up like all the others. But they do not know what we have built. They do not know what humans can do when we are pushed to the edge. The leaders were scared. Some were crying. But they had been preparing in secret for 50 years. They knew this day might come. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity was made of. Activate the Shadow Fleet. Tejo ordered not far away in the asteroid belt. Hidden among rocks and dust, 2,000 warships started to wake up. These were not the old, weak ships that humanity showed to other aliens. These were new and powerful and deadly. They had been built in secret, waiting for this moment. Lieutenant Hana Choi was working in a bunker under Seoul. She was only 26 years old, but she was the best computer expert on Earth. Her job was to break into the alien computers and find their weaknesses. Her fingers moved fast across her keyboard. Alien code filled her screen. It was complicated, but Hana was smarter. After 3 hours, she found something important. "Admiral," she said into her radio, "I found it. The Vorn soldiers are all connected to one central computer. If we can break that connection, they will become confused and weak." "Excellent work," Teo replied. "Keep searching. Find everything you can." Sergeant Day Lee did not have time for computers. He was on the streets of Seoul with his soldiers, fighting the alien ground troops. The Vorn soldiers were tall and scary, with 4 arms and hard shells on their bodies. They moved in perfect lines, killing everything they saw. But Day was not afraid. He was angry. "Follow me into the subway tunnels," he told his men. "We know this city. They do not." His soldiers followed him into the darkness under the streets. They set traps with bombs and wires. When the Vorn came looking for them, Day and his men attacked from every direction. The aliens fell one by one. They could not understand how these small humans kept beating them by the end of the first day. Day's soldiers had killed 500 Vorn without losing a single man as night fell over a burning Earth. Admiral Tejo prepared to send a message to the whole world. Everyone was watching. The aliens were watching. Everyone expected humanity to surrender. Instead, Tejo looked into the camera with cold, hard eyes. "You came to our home," he said. "You killed our people. You thought we would kneel before you." He paused. "We do not kneel. We do not break. We do not give up. You came here expecting to find sheep. Instead, you have found wolves. And now the hunt begins." In the asteroid belt, 2,000 warships turned on their engines and started flying toward Earth. In the shadows behind the moon, Captain Yuna Kim and her pilots prepared their weapons. In his laboratory, Dr. Hyun Beek finished building his first Cascade warhead. The Vorn had started this war, but humanity was going to finish it. The sky was dark and full of fire. Cities were burning. Millions of people were dead. But in bunkers and bases around the world, humans were getting ready. They were scared, but they were not broken. They were hurt, but they were not defeated. The aliens wanted a quick victory. They wanted humanity to give up without a fight. They did not understand that humans never give up. They did not understand that the more you push a human, the harder they push back. The war had just begun, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy what they could do. Overlord Macruel stood on his command ship and watched Earth burn below. He was pleased with himself. The invasion was going exactly as planned. The humans were running and screaming like all the other weak species the Vorn had conquered. "How long until they surrender?" Macruel asked his officers. "Less than 2 days, Overlord. Their military is destroyed. Their cities are burning. They have no hope left." Macruel made a sound like laughter. "Good. Prepare the harvesting ships. We will take their strongest ones as slaves. The rest will become food for our soldiers." But Mac Rule did not know that he was wrong. He did not know that humanity had been lying to everyone for 50 years. He did not know that the real war was about to begin. In the asteroid belt, 2,000 human warships flew through space like ghosts. They made no sound. They sent no signals. The Vorn could not see them on their sensors. These ships were painted black and built to be invisible. Admiral Te-Ho stood on the bridge of his flagship, a huge ship called the Iron Will. Around him, officers worked quietly at their computers. Everyone knew what was coming. Everyone knew they might not survive. "Admiral," Commander Sung Kong said, "the Shadow Fleet is ready. We can attack in 4 hours." Te-Ho nodded slowly. "Tell all ships to wait for my signal. When we strike together. We hit them hard, and we do not stop." For 50 years, humanity had shown the galaxy old ships and weak weapons. They wanted aliens to think Earth was not dangerous. But behind that mask, they were building something else. Every country on Earth had worked together in secret. They built ships. They made weapons. They trained soldiers. They prepared for the day when they would have to fight for their survival. That day had come. On the ground in Seoul, Sergeant Dae Lee led his soldiers through the dark subway tunnels. They had been fighting for 3 days without sleep. They were tired and hungry and covered in blood and dirt. But they were winning. The Vorn ground forces were losing soldiers every hour. They could not understand why. Their soldiers were bigger and stronger than humans. Their weapons were more powerful. But the humans kept appearing out of nowhere, attacking fast, and then disappearing again. "Sergeant," one of his soldiers whispered, "we found another group of aliens. About 20 of them." They smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "How many bombs do we have left?" "Enough." "Then let us give them a warm welcome." The trap was simple but deadly. Dae's men made noise to attract the Vorn patrol. When the aliens followed the sound into a narrow tunnel, soldiers attacked from behind. Explosions filled the tunnel with fire and smoke. In less than 5 minutes, 20 Vorn soldiers were dead. A young soldier looked at the alien bodies with wide eyes. "How do we keep winning? They are so much bigger than us." Dae put his hand on the young man's shoulder. "They are like machines. They only know how to follow orders. We are human. We think, we change. We fight with our hearts, not just our hands. That is why we will always beat them." Deep under Bizen, Lieutenant Hana Choi was fighting a different kind of battle. Her eyes were red from staring at computer screens for days. She had not slept in 72 hours. But she was getting close to something big. The Vorn used something called a neural network. Every soldier was connected to every other soldier through their minds. They could share information instantly. They could work together perfectly. It made them very dangerous. But Hana had found the weakness. The network needed special relay stations in space to work. If those stations were destroyed, the connection would break. The soldiers would become confused and lost. "Admiral Te-Ho," Hana said through her secure radio, "I found 7 relay stations in orbit around Earth. If we destroy them, the Vorn ground forces will fall apart. Can you show us where they are?" "Already done, sir." Te-Ho allowed himself a small smile. "Good work, Lieutenant. The Shadow Fleet will take care of them." In his laboratory, Dr. Hyon Beek was testing his Cascade warheads. He had worked on them for 15 years, and now he finally knew they would work. The Vorn had very strong armor on their bodies. Normal bullets could not hurt them. Normal bombs barely scratched them. But the Cascade warheads made a special sound that caused their armor to shake. The shaking got stronger and stronger until the armor cracked and broke apart. Hyon watched a piece of Vorn armor explode into 1,000 pieces. He felt sick to his stomach. He had created a weapon that could kill thousands of aliens in seconds. But he also felt hope. This weapon could save his family. This weapon could save humanity. The warheads are ready, he told Admiral Tae-ho. One warhead can kill every Vorn within 200 meters. How many do you have? 500. And I am making more every hour. Above Earth, Captain Yuna Kim waited in the shadow of the moon. Her Black Huron squadron had been sitting quietly for 3 days, waiting for the order to attack. Now that order had finally come. Yuna looked at a photograph taped to her control panel. It was her younger brother, Juno. He was only 16 years old, hiding in a shelter somewhere in Korea. She had promised to protect him. She had promised to come back. Captain, one of her pilots said, "We have our target. We are supposed to destroy the Vorn communication towers." Yuna took a deep breath. The mission was almost impossible. 12 small ships against hundreds of enemy vessels. But impossible was just a word. Black Huron Squadron had done impossible things before. All pilots, check your weapons. In 1 hour, we show these aliens what human pilots can do. The attack began at midnight. Admiral Tae-ho's Shadow Fleet appeared out of nowhere. 2,000 ships suddenly showed up on Vorn sensors. The aliens were shocked. Their information said humans only had 300 military ships. Where did all these come from? Before the Vorn could react, the human ships attacked. Missiles flew through space like angry fireflies. Lasers cut through alien armor. Ships exploded in bright balls of fire dot. At the same time, Captain Yuna Kim led her squadron through the chaos. Her pilots flew with incredible skill, moving between enemy ships without being hit. They reached the communication towers and destroyed them one by one. On the ground, Lieutenant Hana Choi watched her screens with joy. The Vorn neural network was falling apart. The relay stations were going offline. Enemy soldiers on Earth started moving in random directions, confused and lost without their connection. Now, Admiral Tae-ho commanded, "Drop the Cascade warheads." Human ships flew over Vorn positions and released the weapons. When the warheads exploded, they made a strange musical sound. Vorn soldiers stopped moving. Their armor started to shake. Then it cracked. Then they fell dead, their bodies broken from the inside. Overlord Macrol watched in horror as his invasion fell apart. His fleet was burning. His ground forces were dying. His communication network was destroyed. In just 3 hours, he had lost half of his army. A message appeared on his screen. It was Admiral Tae-ho speaking from the Iron Will. "Overlord Macrol, you wanted war. Now you have it. Surrender now, or we will destroy everything you have." Macrol's 4 hands shook with anger. No species had ever talked to him like this. No species had ever fought back like this. He made his decision. "Send a message to the Hive Council," he ordered. "Tell them to send the Grand Armada. These humans must be destroyed completely." The first battle was over. Humanity had won. But the war was far from finished. Captain Yuna Kim flew her ship through a storm of explosions and laser fire. Enemy fighters chased her, shooting purple beams that could melt metal in seconds. Any normal pilot would have been dead already. But Yuna was not a normal pilot. "Black 3, enemy on your left side," she called through her radio. "I see him, Captain." Black 3 spun his ship in a tight circle and fired. The Vorn fighter exploded in a ball of orange fire. Yuna allowed herself a small smile. Her pilots were the best in the universe. The aliens were learning this the hard way. "All ships follow me. We are going for the Overlord's flagship." The Vorn flagship was enormous. It was 5 kilometers long, covered with hundreds of weapons, and protected by dozens of smaller ships. Overlord Macrol was on that ship, commanding what was left of his fleet. If they could destroy the flagship, the Vorn would lose their leader. Everyone said this mission was impossible. 12 small ships against a flying fortress. But Yuna had a plan. Lieutenant Hana Choi had discovered something useful in the Vorn computer network. The flagship had a blind spot near its engines where the sensors did not work properly. If Yuna's squadron could reach that blind spot, they could plant bombs without being seen. Black Huron, we are entering the blind zone in 30 seconds. Get your explosives ready. Yuna's hands moved with perfect control. Her ship danced between enemy fire, getting closer and closer to the massive flagship. Behind her, 11 pilots followed her every move. They trusted her with their lives. They entered the blind spot. Everything became quiet. Now, Yuna ordered, plant the charges. The pilots released their bombs. Small devices flew toward the flagship and attached to its hull with soft clicks. Then Black Huron's squadron turned around and flew away as fast as possible. The bombs exploded 10 seconds later. The flagship shook like a wounded animal. Fire burst from its engines. The ship started to fall apart. On the bridge, Overlord Makrul grabbed a wall to keep from falling. What happened? He screamed at his officers. Engine damage, Overlord. The ship is dying. We must leave now. Makrul ran to an escape pod and left his flagship behind. Seconds later, the whole ship exploded. The blast was so bright that people on Earth could see it in the night sky. Millions of humans looked up and watched their enemy's greatest ship die. On the ground in Seoul, Sergeant Dae Lee heard the news through his radio. He laughed for the first time in days. Then he went back to work. His battalion was freeing Seoul from the Vorn. They had been fighting for 5 days and had pushed the aliens out of most of the city. Now only the center remained under enemy control. Sergeant, there is an enemy position ahead. About 50 soldiers behind a wall of broken cars and buildings. Day looked through his binoculars. The Vorn had heavy weapons pointed at every street. A direct attack would cost many lives. So Day did not attack directly. Team 1, go around the left. Team 2, go around the right. Team 3, stay with me. We attack from 3 sides at the same time. His soldiers moved through the destroyed city like shadows. They climbed through broken buildings. They crawled through underground pipes. They surrounded the enemy without being seen. Is everyone ready? Day asked through his radio. Ready, ready, attack. Explosions came from 3 directions at once. Human soldiers appeared everywhere, on rooftops, in windows, from holes in the ground. The confused Vorn did not know which way to shoot. In 12 minutes, all 50 alien soldiers were dead. Day stood in the center of the freed city. His soldiers cheered around him. But Day did not celebrate. He knew this was only one battle. The war was not over yet. Across the world, humanity was pushing back. Tokyo was freed by Captain Jae-sung and his soldiers. Berlin was liberated by combined forces from Europe. City by city, the Vorn were losing ground. Admiral Tae-ho watched the reports from his flagship. He felt proud of his people, but he could not relax. He knew that Overlord Makrul had called for help. The Vorn Grand Armada was coming. 10,000 ships. The biggest fleet in the history of the galaxy. How long until they arrive? Tae-ho asked Commander Sung Kong. Our calculations say 14 days, Admiral. 14 days. Tae-ho closed his eyes and thought carefully. They had won the first battle, but they could not win against 10,000 ships. Earth did not have enough ships or weapons or soldiers. They needed a different plan. Call Dr. Beek, Captain Kim, Lieutenant Choi, and Sergeant Lee. We need to talk. The meeting happened through video screens. Yuna Kim appeared in her flight suit, tired but alive. Hana Choi had dark circles under her eyes from no sleep. Dr. Hyenbeek looked nervous. Sergeant Day Lee was covered in dirt and dried blood. "The Grand Armada is coming," Teho said. 10,000 ships. If we stay here and wait for them, we will lose. Nobody argued. They all knew he was right. "So we do not wait," Teho continued. "We attack first. We take the fight to their home." Una raised her eyebrows. "Attack the Vorn homeworld? We have less than 4,000 ships." 4,200, Teho corrected. "And we have something the Vorn do not expect. We have Dr. Beak." Everyone looked at the nervous scientist. Hyenbeek took a deep breath before speaking. "I built something new. A weapon called the Genesis Bomb. It can destroy a planet's core. It makes the planet impossible to live on." The room went silent. Even Day Lee looked shocked. "You made a planet killer?" Hannah asked quietly. "I made a way to end this war," Hyan replied. "One bomb, one planet. The Vorn homeworld dies. The Hive Council dies. Without their leaders, the Grand Armada will have no one to give them orders. They will fall apart." Teho nodded. "It is our only chance. We strike fast and hard before they can react." "The Vorn will never surrender," Una said. "Even if we destroy their homeworld, they will keep fighting. Then we will fight until the last one is dead." Teho's voice was cold as ice. "They started this war. They burned our cities. They killed our families. Now they will learn what happens when you make humanity angry." Day Lee spoke first. "I am in. My soldiers will follow me to the end of the universe. Black Huron will lead the attack," Una said. "I can break into their defense systems," Hannah added. "I will give you a path to the planet." Hyenbeek was the last to speak. He looked at the plans for his Genesis bomb. He hated what he had made, but he understood why it was needed. "The bomb will be ready in 3 days," he said. Admiral Teho looked at his team. 4 brave humans ready to risk everything. He felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. "Prepare the fleet. In 4 days, we leave for Vorn space. We end this war at their door, not ours." Somewhere in the galaxy, Overlord Makrul waited for his Grand Armada. He dreamed of revenge. He dreamed of watching Earth burn to dust. He did not know that humanity was already coming for him. The human fleet gathered at the edge of the solar system. 4,200 warships floated in the cold darkness of space. Every ship was painted black, designed to disappear against the void. Inside each ship, soldiers prepared for what might be the last mission of their lives. Nobody expected to come home. Admiral Teho stood on the bridge of the Iron Will and looked out at the stars. Somewhere far away, beyond all that darkness, was the Vorn homeworld. Somewhere out there was the enemy that had tried to destroy humanity. In 3 days, they would reach that planet. In 3 days, the war would end. "Admiral," Commander Sung Kong said, "the fleet is ready. All captains are waiting for your command." Teho nodded. He turned on the communication system to speak to every ship at the same time. "Soldiers of Earth, today we do something no human has ever done. We are going to attack an alien planet. We are going to fight against impossible numbers. Many of us will die. Maybe all of us will die." He paused. Across 4,000 ships, millions of soldiers listened in complete silence. "But we do not fight for ourselves. We fight for the people we left behind. We fight for our mothers and fathers, our brothers and sisters, our children. We fight so that humanity will survive, so that Earth will be safe, so that every alien in the galaxy will know that attacking humanity has a price." His voice grew stronger. "The Vorn believed we were weak. They believed we would give up. They were wrong. Today, We show them what humans are made of. Today, we take the war to their home. Today, we win or we die trying. There is no going back. There is no surrender. There is only victory. The fleet jumped into hyperspace. The stars stretched into long lines of light. And 4,000 human ships disappeared into the darkness. Captain Yuna Kim led the front of the attack. Her Black Huron squadron had grown to 50 ships. They flew ahead of the main fleet, clearing the path. Their job was to destroy any enemy defenses they found. Yuna sat in her cockpit and looked at the picture of her brother taped to the wall. Junho was safe in a shelter beneath the mountains of Korea. She had sent him a message before leaving. She told him she loved him. She told him to be brave. She did not tell him she might never see him again. "Captain," one of her pilots said, "we are coming up on the first defense station." Yuna checked her screens. The Vorn had built a huge station at the border of their territory. It had hundreds of guns and was protected by 50 warships. It was designed to stop any invasion. "How many missiles do we have?" Yuna asked. 300, Captain. Use all of them." Black Huron squadron attacked like a storm. Missiles filled space with fire and light. The Vorn tried to fight back, but they could not see ships they could not find. Yuna's pilots were like ghosts, appearing and disappearing in the chaos. In 20 minutes, the defense station was destroyed. All 50 Vorn ships were burning wreckage. "First target down," Yuna reported to Admiral Teo. "Moving to the next one." Over the next 2 days, Black Huron squadron destroyed 3 more defense stations. They lost 7 ships. 35 pilots died. But they opened a clear path into Vorn territory. Sergeant Day Lee was not supposed to be on this mission. His orders were to stay on Earth and help rebuild the army. But Day had never been good at following orders that kept him away from a fight. He had hidden on a transport ship at the last minute. When the captain found him, Day just shrugged. "You can send me back, or you can use me. Your choice." The captain was smart enough to use him. Now Day was training a special team for the most dangerous part of the mission. They were going to board Overlord Macrul's ship and capture him alive. Admiral Tae-ho wanted the Vorn leader to watch his planet die. "Listen carefully," Day told his team. "The Overlord will have his best soldiers protecting him. They will fight to the death. We have to be faster, stronger, and meaner than them." His team came from every country on Earth. Soldiers from Korea, Japan, America, Brazil, Nigeria, Russia. They spoke different languages, but shared one goal. When we get on that ship, we hit them hard, and we do not stop. No hesitation. No mercy. We grab the Overlord, and we get out. Anyone in our way dies. Do you understand? "Yes, Sergeant." Lieutenant Hana Choi worked in a small room on the Iron Will. Her screens showed lines of alien code. She had not slept in 2 days. Her eyes were red and her hands were shaking, but she could not stop Dot. She was creating a virus to shut down the Vorn planetary defense system. Without that virus, the human fleet would be destroyed before reaching the planet. "How is it going?" Dr. Hyan Beek asked, bringing her a cup of hot coffee. "Almost finished," Hana said. "The Vorn security is good, but I found a hole. When we get close enough, I can turn off their orbital weapons for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes is not very long. It will have to be enough." Hyan sat down next to her. He looked exhausted. The Genesis bomb was ready, waiting in a special room in the middle of the ship. It was a small thing, no bigger than a car. It was strange that something so small could kill an entire planet. "Do you ever think about whether this is right?" Hyan asked quietly. Hana stopped typing. She thought about the question for a moment. "They came to our world first," she said. "They burned our cities. They killed millions of innocent people. They were going to eat us and turn us into slaves. We did not start this fight, but we have to finish it. By killing billions of them? Hana looked at him with hard eyes. By making sure they can never hurt us again. By making every species in the galaxy understand that humanity is not to be attacked. Is it terrible? Yes. Is it necessary? Yes. Hyan had no answer. He finished his coffee in silence and went back to check on his bomb. The human fleet reached the Vorn, homeworld 3 days later. It was a dark planet covered with massive cities and factories. Billions of Vorn lived there. Billions of Vorn were about to die. Overlord Makrul was waiting for them. He had gathered about 1,000 ships, everything he had left. It was not enough to win, but it was enough to fight. They actually came here, Makrul said in disbelief. They actually attacked us at home. What are your orders, Overlord? Makrul's 4 hands curled into fists. Kill every single one of them. The battle started. Human ships fought Vorn ships. Missiles and lasers filled space. Explosions lit up the darkness like fireworks. Captain Yuna Kim flew at the front of the attack. Her squadron destroyed enemy ships with deadly precision. She had never flown so well in her life. All ships focus fire on the orbital defense platforms. Give Hana her chance. Lieutenant Hana Choi launched her virus. It spread through the Vorn computers like a disease. One by one, the planetary defense guns went offline. Admiral, Hana said, you have 10 minutes. Starting now. Admiral Teho gave the order. All ships, push forward. This is our only chance. Go now. The human fleet surged ahead. Vorn ships tried to stop them, but there were too many targets. Human ships broke through the defensive line and headed toward the planet. In the chaos, a small shuttle left the Iron Will. Sergeant Day Lee and his team were heading to capture Overlord Makrul. Remember, Day told his soldiers, we take the Overlord alive. Everyone else dies. The shuttle attached to the enemy ship. Day's team cut through the metal and went inside. What followed was 10 minutes of brutal fighting. Vorn soldiers fought hard, but Day's team was better. They moved through the ship like death itself. They found Overlord Makrul on the bridge, surrounded by his guards. The guards died quickly. Makrul tried to escape, but Day was faster. The mighty warlord who had conquered 200 star systems fell to his knees with a human boot on his neck. You are coming with us, Day said. Your people need to see what happens when you attack humanity. As Day dragged the Overlord back to the shuttle, Admiral Teho prepared the Genesis bomb. Target locked. Waiting for your order, Admiral. Teho looked at the Vorn homeworld. Billions of lives. An entire civilization. He was about to end it all. He thought about his dead wife. His dead daughter. The 20 million humans killed in the invasion. Fire, he said. The Genesis bomb launched toward the planet. It flew past the burning ships, through the atmosphere, and crashed into the surface. It drilled deep underground. Then it started to work. The planet began to shake. The Vorn homeworld died slowly and painfully. The Genesis bomb had destroyed the planet's core, sending earthquakes across every continent. Volcanoes exploded where there had been cities. The sky filled with fire and poison. In just a few hours, the entire surface became impossible to live on. Billions of Vorn died in the destruction. The Hive Council, the leaders who had ordered the invasion of Earth, refused to leave their great chamber. They died together, buried under falling stone. Admiral Teho watched from the bridge of the Iron Will. He felt no happiness. He felt no satisfaction. He only felt tired. So many lives lost on both sides. So much death and destruction. All because one species thought they could take whatever they wanted. Admiral, Commander Sun Kong said quietly. "A grand armada has arrived." Tae-ho turned to look at his screens. 10,000 Vorn ships had appeared at the edge of the system. They had come to save their homeworld. They were too late, but something strange was happening. The Vorn ships were not attacking. They were just floating in space, doing nothing. "Why are they not fighting?" Toho asked. Lieutenant Hana Choi understood. "They have no orders. The Hive Council is dead. The Overlord is captured. Their neural network is destroyed. They cannot think for themselves. They do not know what to do." Tae-ho realized she was right. The Vorn were not like humans. They needed leaders to tell them everything. Without the Hive Council, they were lost and confused. "Open a communication channel to their fleet," Tae-ho ordered. A moment later, an alien face appeared on his screen. A Vorn commander, looking scared and uncertain. "This is Admiral Tae-ho Park of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your homeworld is gone. Your leaders are dead. Your overlord is our prisoner. You have two choices. Surrender now and live, or fight, and we will destroy every ship you have." The Vorn commander was silent for a long time. Behind him, other Vorn officers were arguing with each other. Without their mental connection, they could not agree on anything. Finally, the commander spoke. "We surrender." Just like that, the war was over. Captain Yuna Kim landed her damaged ship on the Iron Will. She climbed out of her cockpit on shaking legs. Her squadron had started with 50 ships. Only 23 had survived. 27 pilots dead. 27 friends she would never see again. She stood on the deck and looked at the empty spaces where her people should have been landing. "Captain," a young pilot said, "we did it. We actually won." Yuna nodded, but she could not smile. Victory felt empty when it cost so much. That night, she sent a message to her brother Junho. "I am alive. I am coming home. Wait for me." His reply came an hour later. "I knew you would survive. Come home soon. I miss you." Finally, Yuna allowed herself to cry. Sergeant Day Lee brought Overlord Mac Rule to the bridge of the Iron Will. The alien warlord was in chains, his forearms tied behind his back. He looked smaller now, less frightening. "Do you want to see what you caused?" Tae-ho asked him. He turned the Overlord toward the window. Outside, the Vorn homeworld was visible, burning and dying. Even from space, they could see the destruction. "You killed billions of my people," Macrol said with hatred in his voice. "You started this war," Tae-ho replied. "You came to our planet. You burned our homes. You murdered our families. Did you think we would just accept it? Did you think there would be no punishment?" Macrul had nothing to say. "You thought we were weak because we were small," Tae-ho continued. "You were wrong. Humans do not give up. Humans do not surrender. We adapt, we fight, and we win." He turned away from the defeated Overlord. "Take him to a cell. He will face justice on Earth." The journey home took 2 weeks. The human fleet was badly damaged. Out of 4,200 ships, only 2,700 survived. Almost 2 million soldiers had died, but Earth was safe. When the fleet appeared in Earth's sky, the whole planet celebrated. People filled the streets, laughing and crying at the same time. Bells rang in churches. Fireworks exploded everywhere. Humanity had faced death and survived. Admiral Tae-ho did not join the celebrations. Instead, he went to a memorial wall in Seoul, where workers were carving the names of everyone who died in the war. 20 million names. 20 million people gone forever. He found the names of his wife and daughter, who had died 20 years ago. He touched the cold stone and whispered, "We did it. Everyone is safe now." 3 months later, Tae-ho retired. He moved to a small house by the ocean and spent his days fishing and reading books. He never talked about the war unless someone asked. Captain Yuna Kim came home as a hero. People wanted to give her medals and promotions. She refused everything. Instead, she spent time with her brother Juno. They went hiking in the mountains. They ate at their mother's favorite restaurants. They watched movies together like normal people. Eventually, Yuna took a job training new pilots. She never flew in combat again. She said she had fought enough for one lifetime. Dr. Hyun Beek destroyed every record of the Genesis bomb. He deleted all the computer files. He burned all the paper documents. He made sure no one could ever build that weapon again. When other scientists asked about it, he always said the same thing. Some weapons should only exist once. The universe does not need another planet killer. He went back to peaceful work. He invented medicines to help sick people. He created machines to rebuild the destroyed cities. He spent the rest of his life trying to save as many people as he had killed. Sergeant Dae Lee returned to Seoul and opened a small restaurant. He served simple Korean food, the kind his grandmother used to make. Veterans from the war came from all over the world to eat there. They shared meals, told stories, and remembered friends who did not make it home. Dae never bragged about his heroics. When young people asked about the war, he simply said, "We did what we had to do. Now we should build something better." Lieutenant Hana Choi became Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. Other alien species had watched the war with great interest. They had seen the most powerful empire in the galaxy fall to a small young species. They wanted to know how humanity did it. Hannah's first speech to the council became famous. She stood before representatives from 100 different species and spoke clearly. Humanity did not want this war. We only wanted to live in peace. But when the Vorn brought chaos to our door, we answered with deadly precision. We are a young species. We are small, but we are not weak. We do not run from danger. We do not kneel to tyrants. We stand together, we fight together, and we win together. She looked at every face in the room. Remember this lesson. Humanity does not attack first. We do not conquer or enslave others. We simply want to be free. But if anyone threatens our home, our families, our future, we will respond. And you will not like our response. The Vorn learned this truth. I hope none of you ever have to learn it the same way. The council was silent. Then, slowly, they began to applaud. Years later, a young alien diplomat visited old Admiral Tae-ho at his house by the sea. The alien wanted to understand how humans had won against impossible odds. How did you do it? The diplomat asked. The Vorn were stronger. They had more ships, better technology. How did humans beat them? Ta-ho smiled. He looked out at the ocean, thinking about all the brave people who had sacrificed everything. Because we refused to die, he said. The Vorn expected us to give up like everyone else. But humans do not understand giving up. We only understand fighting. And when you trap something that refuses to die, it becomes the most dangerous thing in the universe. The diplomat thought about this for a long time. Then it nodded slowly. I will remember that, it said. Good, Tae-ho replied. Tell everyone in the galaxy. Humanity is a good friend to those who respect us. But we are the worst enemy anyone could ever make. Choose carefully. The diplomat left. Tae-ho went back to his fishing. Somewhere above him, the stars continued to shine. A young species had been tested by fire and had come out stronger. They had faced chaos and answered with deadly precision. They had proven themselves to the galaxy. And the galaxy would remember forever.